I call the meeting to order. We'll do a roll call. Keith Wigan here. Shane Wells.
Yep.
Amy Hanneman.
Here.
Brian Winslow.
Here.
Dave Ruth.
Yep.
And our panelists.
Bob Godomsky, Superintendent.
Marjorie Whitmore, Business Administrator.
Thank you. Our bills and manifests are being reviewed by Mr. Ruth right now, and they will get around. I don't believe we have any agenda adjustments to make today. No need for a non-public session in the beginning. We'll do that at the end. Some time for that,
Yes,
hopefully.
and it's fine.
So we'll start off with our Fresh Picks presentation. So I see we have someone here. We don't have a.
We have a mic.
We don't have a mic.
Well, there's a
You can,
mic
you
here.
feel free to sit at the table. If you
Stole
want.
my mic stand. Okay.
Okay.
For the graduation. So, okay.
If
Do I
you're
have to do this like I'm a Vegas performer?
if you're
We
more
can hear
comfortable,
you.
you can just
Yeah,
sit
you
down.
can sit if you like. That's fine.
I'm gonna put it down for a second. That's kind of funny that I was coming up here.
Oh, that's okay. No worries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Never know where you're gonna sit.
We keep changing.
So, thank you for, well, having me here tonight. Kara Green, your district manager, unfortunately couldn't join us. She had a medical obligation. But I know that you guys wanted to get some of the results.
Well, you can,
Okay.
this'll, you know, when you move your hand away from the mouth, you can use both.
From the surveys that we were conducting. Unfortunately, I did bring the results. We only got a total of 11 participants in the survey. Yeah, we've been trying for a few years now, and usually it's pretty weak responses. And it's pretty typical. We actually, several years ago, tried doing a contest with iPods at the high school level, back when iPods were still the thing before iPhones. And we still got no responses. So we have 11 responses. It's not really enough for a valid sample. There was a little bit of useful information, mostly in the category of page 4, question 4, I like the choices on the menu. And this is probably one of the ones where we most underperformed. And if you look at, it's actually a separate page because I was trying to be all slick and have the copier staple it, and then it didn't pick up this page. Question 10 talks about voting on the foods that they like. And things, the typical stuff like, you know, beef and cheese nachos, corn dogs, Bosco cheese sticks, which I don't know if you're familiar with, but they're whole wheat breadsticks that are filled with cheese. Those were some of the most popular items. And, you know, the cafe plate, which is a yogurt and a salad, did okay. The yogurt parfait did pretty well. Some of the more traditional stuff, some of the healthier stuff, like the monthly meal promos, were not as popular. So basically, you know, a lot of the initiatives that we've tried to take this year with expanding into some ethnic cuisines, things like our Power Bowl promotion, which I don't know if you're familiar with, but it was similar to a Chipotle concept, with a bed of greens on the bottom and then grains on the top, and then everything from, some of them were like really funky with edamame and that kind of stuff, and some of them were a little more traditional, like the chicken and roasted yam one was probably the most popular all over. But, you know, the kids here are definitely not responding to those type of items. They want to see more of, you know, the Bosco sticks, the corn dogs, the typical kid-friendly items. So that's very good information for us, even with this low response rate, because we know going into next year that we can focus the menu more on that stuff and maybe a little bit less on some of the promotional stuff that's supposed to promote. I mean, we're promoting the more nutritious foods and that kind of stuff, but it's, you know, between what we've seen with sales and what we're seeing with this limited results, obviously not the way the kids want to go. So there are other questions in the survey. One of the biggest ones that was a little disappointing, again, it's only 11 responses, so it's not a great sample, but virtually no one knew about the online menu and mobile app. And, you know, assuming, I know at least one of these surveys was filled out by an adult from the response on question 11. That is something we're also trying to raise awareness on, because not only are any of you familiar with the online portion of our menu and the interactive part? Okay. So if you go on and view your menus, it comes up on a website. And if you click on any of the names of the menu items, it'll pop up with a picture. Some of them have descriptions. They all have the nutritional analysis. And right there, you can rate the item from 1 to 5 stars. So we've really been trying to promote that. And again, we're not getting, especially it's available online. It's also available as a mobile app. And that's really helpful for parents and at the high school level. And we're really just trying to raise awareness about that. We've had signs up about it all year. It's on the menus. It's like, hey, check this out, all of that. I believe we did some newsletter blurbs at the beginning of the year. And that, too, there's not the awareness there, because that would also help the survey process, because it has that rating system built right in. Kids can rate foods, families can rate foods right there on the app. So that is a little disappointing as well. But overall, the few responses that we got, were nothing really negative, from good to lukewarm results. And then with the feedback on question 11, which is what new foods would you like to see in the cafeteria, that too, there was one that said lots of fruits, which is great. One about not having chips available for younger children. Then you can see from most of them, other than the clam chowder, chicken fingers, French toast sticks, more cheeseburgers, more breakfast for lunch days. Between these results and the sales, that's what we're really seeing is the kids, that's the direction the kids want to go in with the foods. Okay? So in terms of that, that's this year's survey. What we can do, Kara, Tracy, and I have talked about this, is try and work with administration in the fall to see if we can do a paper survey rather than an online survey and incorporate it somehow right into the school day and see if we can get more kids to participate. We've had schools before that have done the paper surveys in the classrooms as, part of a lesson or just at snack time or whatever. We've had some school districts incorporate the online survey into computer class and had the kids do the surveys in computer class, and then we've given them access so they could see the results on SurveyMonkey and that kind of stuff. So we can work with the administration in the fall to see if we can do something where it's a partnership between food service and the school to try and get a more robust survey.
Thanks. Does anybody have any
I got a
questions or
question.
things?
What's a barbecue beef cup?
I don't know. We'll have to track that student down and ask them what specifically they want with that. The only thing I can think of, which I've seen at fairs, and it's similar to our yogurt parfait or our Power Bowl idea. The one I've seen is pulled pork, where they take and they layer mashed potatoes, cheddar cheese, pulled pork, coleslaw. Maybe it's something like that.
How many daily lunches are we serving out of approximately 400 kids, 375 kids, do we know?
Off the top of my head, I don't know.
Yeah, Chris was just asked to come here today to give results on the survey.
Yeah.
Sorry,
And
Dave.
I'd grab my computer and try and look it up for you, but
All
I
right,
know
no
you're on
big
a
deal, we
tight
can find
schedule.
that
Yeah.
out, I'm sure, just so I'd have an average, just kind of figure out how we can increase the numbers, if they're real low.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and I think focusing more on the kid-friendly stuff and maybe a little less on, the more nutritious stuff. It's one of those tough balances because,
Well, if I was coming for lunch, you'd have my vote.
and just to let you know too, the reports that we send you every month, the statements on the second page does have your participation rate.
Yep,
So,
I do know that, and
Yeah.
actually, when you send me those reports, I've actually created an Excel spreadsheet.
Okay.
So I keep track of what you guys send me, and I make sure that they agree monthly, so that way I can just, instead of giving them 10 reports, I can just give them one report at the end of the year.
Yep.
Because this is still a new process, it was something that I created this year,
okay,
so.
perfect.
As part of the first question is, I'd like to say, are we getting any adults participating in the lunch program? Teachers are here, or is there something that they can have
There are.
prepared
Yes.
salad?
There
so
are.
They just have to walk in, grab that, and get out and
Yeah.
go? Okay.
There are
In fact,
adults.
it gets kind of tricky because sometimes I have to crack the whip a little bit because sometimes they go in the negative. And I'm just like, mm-mm, no, I don't want to send you a bill, so can you please pay that off? So, yeah.
Did you probably don't have the answer to this, but do you have any statistics as to when you get sold out? Because I've heard lots of reports of the later people in lunch getting, some of them start at like 12:30 or whatever, and by then all the main choices are sold out and they have to go to something else.
Okay.
You have any
I have not heard that feedback. I don't meet with Tracy that often, who's your on-site person, but I do meet with Kara on a pretty regular basis, specifically about those type of topics. We have operations meetings, and she hasn't given any of that kind of feedback. We could, the actual quantifiable documentation about that would be the production records, and we could pull that, but we can definitely look into that and see if that's in fact going on and what's going on with that and how often it's happened. That
Yeah,
kind of
perhaps it's just one person, a few times it happens, it's in.
Yep. And the other thing is too, I don't know, are the later lunches the older grades?
I believe so.
Typically.
Mixture.
Because if it's the older
It's
grades,
not.
I know we do some additional entree offerings for older grades. And what we'll find, especially at the middle school age level, is if the kitchen doesn't have the particular item they want that day, what that translates to, when you talk to the student, is they ran out of food.
Sure. Yeah.
I had a question. You said, do you have a regional manager or
Yeah,
somebody who comes in,
Kara Green is the district manager for this area.
district manager? Okay. Because I was just curious how many times she comes in to kind of observe.
Pretty regularly.
Yeah.
Yeah, she works with Tracy pretty closely. Tracy does a good job, so Tracy is independent on a lot, but I know Kara probably every couple of weeks is in here because she's got a heavy concentration of districts in this area. She does Wakefield, Milton, Farmington, Somersworth, Rollinsford, Barrington, so she's in this area all the time.
Is there any way to see like a breakdown of your company, like the regions and that information, like your
You mean between other
structure?
schools,
Yeah,
or-
between other schools and who comes in and how many, you know what I mean? Like how it's kind of broken down?
We don't have anything aggregated like that. The district managers do report their schedules to myself and the owners of the company
Okay.
weekly.
So would
but-
you be the person we would want to talk to if we have things come up or we have more questions?
A little bit.
Okay.
So Kara is really more responsible for working with Tracy on the day-to-day operations, with the day-to-day stuff, like with, you were talking about the kids running out of food. I'd be looking at Kara for that kind of answer.
Okay.
For the higher level stuff, the budgeting, meetings like this, reporting on the surveys, that kind of stuff, that's kind of what I do.
Okay.
A lot of times Kara will do it with me, but she couldn't be here tonight.
Okay. And the one thing I did notice, I have come in to have lunch with my son, is, and I know that I've heard it's just on really popular item days, but he only gets about 5 or 10 minutes to eat because the line takes a really long time. So that's why I was kind of wondering how many times she comes in to observe what's happening, because I do like to send lunch with him, but by the end of the year, I'm pretty tired, so I
Yep.
send him, I send him with his hot lunch, just go get it.
Yep.
But like, they do have to tell the kids to just be silent so that they have time to eat. So that was the only kind of concern I had, and I was just wondering like who we could talk to about that to maybe come in and,
Excuse me. Yeah, so that would be, first Tracy and then Kara. And that's something we would come in and look at, and sometimes that's something I would get involved with, just to look at, what's being the holdup on those busier days and what the solution is
Okay.
to solve that. And it could be anything from, the way they're processing the meals in line may be quick enough on an average day, but when you've got a busy day, maybe that system in place isn't quick enough to deal with that.
right.
And, there are all kinds of solutions for that.
Okay, great.
Well, yeah, along that point, I would like us to put something on our to-do list, kind of our future lists, the lunch program, because one of my questions would be is, how many lunches an hour can you serve? Now, this facility here may not be the same as Barrington. They might have better equipment, so they can prepare and serve faster. And the second part is, I think it's up to us, is I really believe that the lunch program starts too early and doesn't have enough time for the kids. So half of them don't want to eat at 10:30 in the morning because they just had breakfast, but that's the future.
Yeah. Yeah, and that stuff we can definitely work with you on, you know, because really a lot of times, sometimes the facility will cause speed of service issues.
Yeah.
But mostly it's processes, what we're doing, but then two, how the kids are coming through the line, how we're processing those meal sales. And then sometimes it just comes down to the kids themselves, where some of them will get through quick, some of them, you know, require more attention.
It's a little slower, bigger kids might know what they want and go through.
Yeah, and I mean, it ranges from building population to building population too, and just kind of the environment, so.
So if we have any other operational questions, probably we should work through maybe the administration and talk to
Yeah.
Tammy about things, like how food is handled when it's being
Right.
discarded and things like that. and-
Yep, you can work through administration, and I'll grab my cards for everybody, because even though Kara's your direct point of contact,
Yeah.
you can always contact any one of us.
Okay.
And I'll give you my cards before I go, but yeah, work through the administration, and also too, we can, if you want, you know, if you want to put us on your agenda on a regular basis, just like you probably get facilities reports and everything else, we're more than happy to come in, you know, whenever you guys want, to just answer any questions you have, any concerns you have, because hearing some of this stuff, like I said, I haven't heard that feedback
Sure,
about
yeah.
running out, but, you know, sometimes that's all it takes is, you know, nobody just told us, and
Yep.
we can look and fix it.
Yep.
One last question, and we can, is, all the equipment that we do have, I believe, is fairly old, so have there been any requests? I just came on board with the school board, so this may have been asked before. Do we have a need for some new equipment, or replace something that's just not functioning properly? Did we had any? Nothing that we know of?
You just
All right.
had a replacement of something this year.
The freezer?
And that's being done this
Like
summer.
compressor work and stuff.
But I can't remember what it was, but there was something in the kitchen that we did just replace this year.
Is that the warming table?
All right.
I think that was on the first year.
Yeah, no, you know what, I think, did we replace the wells in the warming table? Did we do that when we came in, or did we do that this
Yeah,
I
year?
think
did
the warming
something.
table is your first year.
Yep, and then we did the three-bay sink for the health inspector at some point, I believe. But the other thing is, too, that I don't know if there's anything in the CIP right now, but that's another service we can provide, too, is work with the administration to let them know, you know, if pieces should be coming up on the CIP, so you can plan to replace it before it dies. That's definitely something we can do, too.
All right, good.
There were equipment repairs this year.
Oh,
It's in
there'll
your
always be some
financials right
repairs,
now,
but
yeah.
Maybe there's some brand-new type of equipment that would speed things up and make things better. I mean, I didn't know if there was any request for anything.
Usually it's not equipment. If anything, if there's a facilities issue that causes speed of service issues, it's usually layout more than equipment. But yeah, I mean, with the equipment, it would be more of, you're right, there's a lot of old pieces, so we really should make sure we're taking a look, excuse me, so you guys can plan to replace some of those old pieces before you're dumping lots and lots of money into repairs.
So it sounds to me, I think we have a lot of more questions, but I don't think you're probably the right person to be answering those questions. So maybe I think what we should do is, in a future
We have
meeting,
more time.
have a
We're
little
rushing
discussion,
tonight.
have a little
Yeah.
discussion,
Yep.
write down, even without you guys here, you know, write down the kind of information we're looking for and statistics and things like that. And
Yeah.
then forward that through the administration and see if we can get answers that way. And either we can have another presentation, or maybe we get their answers directly.
Yeah, I mean, it could work either way, but if you guys want to put together that list of questions, I can, you know, whether I bring everybody that can answer them to a presentation or gather up the answers, we can get you all the answers.
Even if we can get them offline, that'd be fine maybe too,
Right.
right? That's,
Yeah.
So I think that's on us to do that.
Yep.
Come together and- but Thank you very much for
Thank you.
coming.
Thank you, good seeing you. Man, paper.
I don't know if you guys want to do that in July, or that might be a pretty busy meeting.
Would be good for us to come up with, if we could
Yeah,
listen to some of the parents and listen to some people that work in the building.
Right, get a
That
good,
would say, hey,
Work in the lunchroom.
lunch in the, yes.
Thank you.
And I'm only going from
Thank
past
you.
experience because my kids that came here years ago, so I know what their complaints were.
okay, we'll move on. Next on our agenda is non-public session, but I think the exit interviews is going to be, we'll have a non-public session at the end for that, right now, unless there's anything else to discuss right now. Anybody has?
Does anybody want to start looking at any of these?
Okay, we'll move on to opening public comment. Is there anyone who'd like to address the board? School.
Yeah, and then I'll have these you can go through.
Okay.
3 minutes, Ms. Rule.
Hello. Hello. Two things. One is I've been observing this board the whole year and writing about it, and congratulations on getting through a really, really rough year. It seemed to me from the outside, especially to Keith and Shane, who were here from the beginning during we call it the BC, the bus crisis. It was really rough, and you handled it with great dignity and under the leadership of Dr. Godomsky and the administration. So, whew, congratulations on that. And I just observe what a strong board you've become. So it looks very good. And the other thing is, I know you're going to meet with the select board soon to discuss the SRO, and that your mission has been to find out if you could have, if we can pay for the SRO, is it 70,000 from the school part and then their part? And I have not yet heard an in-depth discussion at the board level of whether that's the best use for that money, that there may be other safety measures that you can take. That's an obvious choice, and I think it's popular with some parents, but I haven't really heard the board as a whole discuss that issue. So that is all. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm Becky Rule. Did I say that?
That's fine.
Who am I? Who is she? Beth Boudreau. I wanted to say thank you for the donation to go towards the retirement party. It was very generous of you, and we had a wonderful time. I would like to touch base on what he had mentioned about running out of food. I do have the K2 lunch, which is the biggest lunch, is I think a little over 120 kids. We run out of ranch dressing and ketchup. That's like the main thing we run out of. I could wear them as holsters, honestly. We run out of, and the lunch line is very long on popular days. I would like to go back, if we could, to go back to 2 people serving like we had in the past, and 1 taking the numbers. That's the problem. Kids are finishing their lunch, sitting down with their lunch at 12 o'clock, and at 12:05 the next group comes in. They are only having a few minutes to eat. There's nothing more we can do. One of the lunch monitors, she shouldn't be up there, but she's helping serve food to get the line through quicker. If Joanne didn't do that, we wouldn't get through at all. So I think it's really the staffing is the issue. We need to have another additional scooper of food. Though the layout of the cafeteria, it is what it is. It can only do so much. So it's very awkward. The kids kind of get bottlenecked. And I did fill out the survey. I know I put before on the Facebook page about the app. So maybe people should revisit the app. And I was the one that said I don't think they should offer chips to small children. So, thank you.
Thanks. Anyone else? That's good. Any board member want to take this opportunity to address the board?
Gary.
No, we're all set. I'll just take 2 minutes just to quickly respond to one of Ms. Rule's points. I just wanted to point out that because of the nature of safety and security, sometimes things are allowed to and will happen in non-public sessions, and so we may not see everything that's going on, and that doesn't mean that nothing is going on all the time. So I appreciate your comments. I just wanted to get that out there to make that clear. So, is that it, everybody? We're good? Okay, we'll close the public session. Move on to our agenda. We have a consent agenda today with the board minutes, the monthly enrollment report, and the personnel report. Anybody want to take any of those items off the consent agenda so we can discuss them separately? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make that motion.
Second. Any discussion on that? All in favor? Motion carries 4-0, 5-0, 5-0. Thank you, count. Okay. Well done. Well done for our first consent agenda, guys. Okay, we'll move on to the business administrator's report.
Quick question. Yeah. Does that personal report include this one?
No,
No, okay,
no, that'll come under superintendent's report.
okay.
You guys are moving too fast for me. Okay, my report begins on page 40. I did want to take the time right now to let the board know that there is going to be another payroll next week. You have payroll here today for tomorrow. However, at the end of the year, we have a lot of crunch time. We did have people that were working this week that are hourly, that are substitutes and everything like that, so there will be a final one next week that we will be calling around looking for signatures for. I'm actually on vacation next Wednesday, and typically payroll is not done until Wednesday, and I have a staff member that typically takes care of the payroll, and he's out on medical leave. So I am trying to pull all the strings I can right now with TD Bank and Citizens to try to make sure that everybody there is all taken care of. If not, I'm gonna have to bring my secure IDs and everything like that with me on vacation, and I don't know if I have Wi-Fi up there. I go on the boondocks, so I typically don't get any service, but I'm trying to make sure that everything's taken care of so no payroll is missed.
Well, you only have one option, that's cancel your vacation.
Get to it.
Can you delegate it to anyone else who's going to be on site? Or?
I am working on that tomorrow and Monday. TD Bank is coming in on Monday to set certain people up. Your treasurer, she came in today. I trained her on how to do it. It's a token, and the number on the token, it's a 6-digit number, and it changes every 30 seconds or minute. So when that changes, you have to enter in the code to be able to get in there and approve your payroll. So she's never done that before, so I walked her through the process today. So you guys should be taken care of. Nottingham should be taken care of. It's the SAU in Stratford that I'm more concerned about, because I've walked through with my staff and with your treasurer to make sure that it does not fall next week. Okay. Your revenue report is on page 41. This sounds so loud to me. Is it echoing?
Yeah, you sound loud to me.
The revenue report is on page 41. Currently, you are anticipated to receive an additional $30,000 in your general fund this year, with an additional $42,000 mostly from the preschool surplus, $2,200 in interest, $5,000 from the additional adequacy aid for the fiscal year 16-17. That's what Northwood received for that. However, we are experiencing a shortfall in Medicaid reimbursements.
So, can I ask a question about that state aid for math? I mean, it was meant to be for math aid, right? Was it? I mean, is that money that should be used for math, or is it money that we should just do whatever we want with?
Well, the money comes in at this time of year. One of the issues is that this is an accumulation of the FY16 and FY17.
Right.
And we're getting the revenue now. So theoretically, it would have been nice to get that in 16 and in 17, so we could actually utilize that money to make a difference for the kids that might need assistance. Under the circumstances that it is now, coming in at this time of the year, it really goes back as revenue and offsets the taxes. So in theory, you know, the tax rate's going to be adjusted so you could utilize some of next year's budget for that. But you really, I mean, it's kind of late in the year. You can't really spend that money on those instances right now.
Now, is the state going to be giving us this money for the next 2 years as well? They're breaking it up into 3 or 2 payments?
We've just got one payment.
This was just one payment. That's all you're going to see for 16-17. Next year you'll be receiving, because
coming as part of the adequacy.
right. So then you'll see your adequacy money that's up there above. So that's the figure that they give us when we're developing the budget. So next year when you're going through and developing your budget, I'm not sure if there's going to be a 17-18 one that may get thrown into next year's after the fact. So.
Which is where it should have come in the first
Sure,
place.
yeah,
Right.
that makes sense. Yep.
And then your food service revenues, I'm expecting a shortfall of $18,000. And if you do have Chris Farrow coming back from Fresh Picks, that would be one of the things that I would think you or the new business administrator would be doing. I've already spoken with you about it, how he's seeing a shortfall in revenues, and it's not just Northwood. He said it's among the state. So that might be one of the things you might want to question them on, because your surveys, I mean, you had 11 people, so I'm not sure if it's stuff that we're not serving that we should be serving. I don't know if it still has anything to do with going out and outsourcing. Because I know that was kind of like a sore spot for a lot of the staff members here, is outsourcing it and wanting to keep it in-house. So I don't know if you're still experiencing that from the people in the building. I know sometimes, like when you start up a new company, it takes like 3 to 5 years before you actually see a profit. You experience a loss for the first few years, so that might be what you're experiencing now. I can't say
As
for
we
sure.
had
but-
$20,000 to $40,000 of expenses before we took on this company, approximately, so.
But that was mostly due to insurances and benefits. So, I mean, I think your revenue is what we budgeted. I think we're pretty much in line with that, so. Okay. Your expenses are on page 42. I went through, because I knew our meeting with you was tonight, so I've actually already gone through your financials to prepare the new BA coming in. I've already zeroed out your anticipated lines. I've already zeroed out your anticipated lines, so those should all be zero by the time you get to your next meeting, unless you decide to make some purchase tonight. So, right now, page 1 of 14, in this packet, I did teacher substitute wages and aid wages. On page 43, you can see that's regular education. I'm showing an expected $51,000 unexpended funds just for regular ed. We've spoken about special ed throughout the year. You can see on page 44 that there's a unexpended funds there of $231, but that's offset with your high school portion of special ed. Co-curriculars, nothing really to note there. Next page on 45, you have your athletics. There were some things that appear that they weren't fulfilled this year. So you have some money left there, $4,000. Summer school salary savings there. Guidance, you are in a little bit of a shortfall due to the fact that track changes this year. That didn't get into the budget because typically the budget is almost to the point of being finalized by the time that they still have to submit those track changes. Nurses looks pretty good. Speech, we obviously know the issue that we had there this year with not being able to fulfill that and outsourcing that. Curriculum development has $3,500 left. Curriculum director has $10,000 left. You approved a certain amount for courses teachers to be taken this year. You approved up more money for them, so you have a shortfall there. Your library is good. And then the purchases that you made for the end of the year, you can see on page 49 for the technology piece of it, $53,000 there in the negative. I'm on page 49. Thank you. Of the packet. You're welcome. School board, you have $14,000 left. SAU, 48 cents. That looks pretty good. You're welcome. No, I'm just kidding. Your principal salary, not salary, your principal section, $2,900 left. Custodial wages. I did have a conversation with Tom today. They are removing the lockers this weekend, so I did approve him to have some of his custodians come in outside of their hours and help pull that together so we can get the new lockers in here. And I believe Harding Metals is coming to pick that up, and instead of charging us, they're just going to keep it and be able to use it for their scrap metal. Okay.
I know that I'm coming down on there to grab some for the PD.
Okay.
So I don't know if there was any other town people that want, because I know we kind of discussed that a little bit.
Yeah,
See if any other town departments wanted some of it, so.
Be cool if you like went to school here and you could get like the locker you had
No,
the year you graduated.
And you sell
and No, just keep it.
Oh,
You're
I know, but
this is
sell
memorabilia.
Yeah, fundraiser.
You know, there are some ideas out there that you guys could do.
It's a little too late now.
Page 51, you can see your custodian section is behind, but that is again because of the lockers. I mean, that was about $28,000 if I do remember, so you're going to see a shortfall there. And then continuing down, I mean, everything is pretty much okay. We've already addressed the bus driver stipends throughout the year. Special ed transportation elementary, there's $20,000 left there. So your total elementary cost, if you look on page 53, your total elementary alone is an unexpended surplus of $313,000. And then your high school section has 100,000, so a total of 413 right now that you're looking to turn back. And then the bank account reconciliation report on page 56.
So, quick question. School board salaries, I know Keith and Barbie gave up their salaries. So, we're giving that back, that wasn't used for anything?
Correct.
You did, but it shows up in other lines. I believe
Okay,
you
it did.
approved that for transportation.
Okay,
if you
so
look
we
at-
did use it all towards.
I'm not sure if we use it all, but it would show up in.
Okay.
It expenses out of the field trip transportation line. It won't show a decrease in your
That's for
school board salary.
transportation.
Okay, all right, cool.
It just goes untouched in that line and then.
I just want to make sure, especially like next year, if we do that again, that, you know, it'd be kind of stupid for you to give up your salary and not actually use it.
So a lot of the things that come across my desk is that, and I've tried really hard to train administration at the individual building levels and at our building level, that if you are going to donate money like that to something, I can't take it out of that line because it affects my end of year reporting. So I know that there's a savings in one line, but I need to remember that there's an overage
corresponding,
somewhere,
I
right,
wonder if there's any way
somewhere
to
else.
record that in, you know, in a separate set of notes or something, you know, so that we can remember those
Right,
things.
and it's
too.
one of those things I've talked with Jocelyn about for next year for the SRO. Like, we've taken that money out of this year's budget to fund that money for next year. So,
Some of these things, if we took money out of school board to pay for something else, in our regular annual budget report, we have little notes underneath. We should maybe have something on our final draft that says, we spent $3,000 for something, money was transferred from school board funds or something, so that the budget committee and the public would, and us, would remember. Over a year, you can't remember
Right,
all the things
exactly.
you did.
Especially us.
Again, I'm just, since I just came on board, but high school transportation, we saved $90,000. I mean, that's,
Well, that-
we spent extra money at the for
That,
tuition.
that is partly because of the way our bus contract is a little bit different before. Instead of paying per run like we were doing before and what we had budgeted for, the high school runs are now considered just additional runs of the elementary runs. So the elementary runs are fully billed, the high school runs are, you know, only the extra.
An extended run, is that what it's called?
Yeah, it's called an extended run, so it's not, we're not paying for a full run. It's mostly just
Well,
billed
yeah, but
differently.
it's
And that's,
still, I mean,
and that's why it
if we
shows up
look
like
at what
this.
we budgeted for, or what was budgeted for transportation
yes.
and what, this year. I
We
mean,
still
that's-
came down lower, yeah.
That's gonna look
Yeah.
like a big saving.
And we went from 3 high school buses to 2, right? That's all.
I believe
And that was,
so.
okay, good. And that was fought for before.
Because
but
we had
it's- we
east,
just
west,
had
and middle,
contracts.
and now we just have.
I do have a question, Marjorie, as you are leaving, and I know I had spoken to you a little while ago, and I've brought it up, is all of these pages could be like a one page, so that all we would have is all the highlighted. Education, special ed, physical, whatever it does, so that it would be a lot easier to read. I mean, I don't really care what we pay for FICA and 13 different lines. I mean, I don't know what you guys think. This could be really condensed down.
I think that's
But
a
every
good-
so often, we do need a full report.
I think that's a good, healthy conversation to have
Yeah, some
with
time
your
at a time.
new superintendent and business administrator. But just understand that as many people that think like that, Dave, and want it condensed down, we get other people, other board members coming and saying, can we get more information? Can you detail it out? Can you, so we get both sides.
Right.
And when Bob and I first started, we actually tried doing that, and the boards at the time did not want that. They want to see where it is. And I see what you're saying, and maybe, that would be something better to
Be a
do.
discussion we should have as a board.
And then maybe give the detail quarterly, because I think the detail actually helps you when you're going through your budget process. I think it's good for you guys to see the full layout of that for that purpose, but maybe going through, from January through June, maybe doing that. But I know that we did try it. I was so impressed that I figured out the report and was able to do it, and then it was shot down. So, but it is what it is.
We'll look into that for sure.
I'll work on them.
You were on the board at the time, Dave.
And it was basically shot down by the budget committee, and a couple of members folded. Okay, that's enough political stuff, let's move on.
Yep. Any other questions?
Well, I hate to see you go.
Yeah.
Good luck in your future endeavors.
Thank you.
Good luck.
I'm really sorry that I didn't get to make it Monday night. I mean, I really, truly wanted to be here. But I know Bob and Scott told you why I couldn't be here, so. It was
Planning
very,
for vacation.
no, I wish. It was very
Shane and I ate
unexpected.
your extra cookies and lemon squares.
And then we knocked the power out. So.
Well, we actually lost power. I was at a wake, and we actually lost the power.
Wow.
Yeah, so,
Like
a
to
little
read-
scary.
Right?
Good luck.
I just want to reiterate that. Thank you for your good work over the years.
Thank you very much.
And good luck.
Well, at least when you're going to Pawtuckaway for lunch, you're right close by. That'll be good. The superintendent down there, I hear, really treats them good. Would take them out to Pawtuckaway.
All right. Let's move on to the principal's report. We don't have too much time left.
Before we leave the business administrator report, we talked a little bit at the joint board meeting about the lunch prices for next year.
Oh, yeah.
And the USDA federal regulation sets the lunch price, and they're recommending that we go to $2.45 in all three districts. Right now, you're at $2.35. And we asked the question, what happens if we don't do that? And the answer was that the SAU would have to cover the 10 cents per meal, or the joint board could decide if one district didn't go to the 245, the joint board could decide to bill out that district for the 10 cents a meal. So one way or another, we got to cover that. So the recommendation is for all three districts to go to $2.45.
I'll make a motion that Northwood raises its lunch prices to $2.45 in according with federal guidelines.
Second.
Any discussion on this? Do we know how many meals we serve a year? Guess? Wild guesses.
Oh, gosh, I don't know.
So when we had the joint board meeting about this, wasn't that, we were
What's the
talking about,
revenue?
like, Stratford was gonna go up to a certain price, we were gonna go down a certain price?
That was
That was
last year.
last year.
That was last year?
last
year.
Okay, wow. That memory's that good?
The figures we got at that meeting were, it was like the federal recommends it's like at $2.99, and that's what they, or $2.90.
That's what
whatever
they.
it was.
Yeah, I think
That's what they
right?
pay, so if we don't charge enough,
Yeah.
then they're
Right.
gonna bill us back.
Right, they do this, so the free and reduced lunch isn't subsidizing your paid lunches. So they want you to get within the ballpark, so right now it's $2.45.
I'm not a big fan of raising the price, considering we're having a hard time
Right, we're,
selling enough meals as it is, and, let's see. If the food service sales, if we assume that each of those is, you know,
So I just took the amount that we've received so far,
Yeah.
plus the
that's what I
anticipated
was
for the
doing
year,
too. So,
divided it
like 235.
by 235, and it comes up with $25,840.
Divide that by 180.
Yep,
So if we had to pay 10 cents for each of those,
yep.
that would be $2,500. That would.
so you're saying if we vote no on the price and we have the same amount of
And we
meals?
decide the SAU level to pay, to bill us out for that, and we keep our
I see, yeah.
235.
Okay.
Which,
And those are regular meals, not the reduced.
well, so I'm just
Yeah.
basically going off your food, so
Okay.
it's based on your paid meals, which
Okay.
that amount includes your breakfast, your à la cartes, your adult meals,
Yeah. So
your guest meals. So that includes everything, so that's just a rough estimate.
it's going to be a little bit less than that, then, actually.
Probably around
Because
like-
that's, lunch
Could be.
prices is some
1,700, 2,000.
portion of that, so, yeah, maybe $2,000.
But also keep in mind, if you do that, that's also gonna put you, because Dave just said, in prior years, it's been $20,000 to $40,000 before we had cafe services, so I'm just saying, keep in mind, it's gonna put you further in the hole
Right.
in your cafeteria, so, but
Who
it is
seconded that for discussion?
Amy.
Me.
But then, again, for future is, what percentage, there is a percent, I think it has to be closer to 50% of your students have to get free, in different cities will just give them, the whole program's free. It went to a point
Yeah, there's a
where it was
certain
less
amount.
cost, so there is a
We're not close to
percentage
that.
there.
Yeah, we're not yet.
I don't think we're close to it. Okay, enough of that then.
So, any other discussion? The motion is to raise our lunch price to $2.45. If it fails, it will remain at $2.35, and we expect to get billed approximately $2,000 to make up for the government mandated price. Is that accurate? Sound good? All right, all in favor of raising lunch price to $2.45?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 3-2.
I wish I could bring you guys better news.
It's okay.
All right, well, is that it for that?
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
Yep, so now we'll move on to the principal's report.
Obviously, the building administration is preparing for a promotion tonight.
Anybody wants to look at those?
If you have any questions or feedback on the principal's report, which is on page 57, I'd be happy to relay that.
We all good with the principal's report?
I just want to add something to it. We had their graduation today. That went really well, except a fight outside in the courtyard. That was quite interesting.
During the graduation?
Adults or
During the-
kids?
No, kids.
Oh.
Couple teachers.
Yeah.
Thrown down.
Yeah. No, but it went very well. Officer Adam, who's Officer Cavoni, but goes by Officer Adam, did presentation number 10, so some of the parents could come in and watch actually a presentation being held. He's really taking this on, so Officer Adam did an awesome job, and I thank him. And I just want to thank administration for allowing us in the building, and hopefully continue to allow us in the building as the SRO position holds up. So, that was it.
So as part of the principal report, we have the schedule. I assume that was part of the principal's report in our packet. I just want to point out that lunch is on here. If you guys want to take a look at when lunch times were, and see how early or late they were, and how much time we have for them. Looks like everything starts at 10:35 and done at 12:05. Are we missing half the day here?
No, it's the second page.
Second,
Oh, I
yeah,
didn't.
there's two.
I don't think I got that second page then. Or it's still stuck in here and I didn't see it. Yeah.
Did you get it?
I don't think I got
You
it.
can have mine.
I have mine.
Thank you.
I should probably know this, but does anybody know what RA stands for? That's in pink. That's what I was thinking. Thanks.
Oh, that's a master schedule, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Here you go. You can look at it.
Thanks. Sorry, I don't know where they were.
Because I can only give you
That's all right, I only had the first page, so.
And then, I don't know if anyone here could answer, but just curious, am assuming where I see like in third grade and kindergarten as well, but 2 separate math blocks, sometimes split by lunch or recess. I know often there's like core math and then applied math or things like that. Do you know if those splits are along like different subdivisions in math? Does anybody know that?
I don't know that.
Okay.
That's that next meeting. We'll see what
Okay,
we're here.
sure. Understandably.
Any other questions relating to the principal's report or the schedule? Thank you for stepping in for that tonight. We'll move on to the superintendent's report then.
First of all, I'm going to apologize for the minutes that you're going to get in your packet next time. I've been scribbling away. Hopefully, they'll be adequate.
Is that what you?
I've got the, under separate cover that I handed out to you, the personnel report for tonight. The first is informational, and it's Jessica Caroloni facilitating the Bananagrams Club. 15 hours, $25 an hour. for the current school year. The next is a nomination of Erin Mon as Library and Media Specialist for the 18-19 school year. The appropriate information with resume is in your packet.
So we would need a motion to elect Erin Mon for the Library Media Specialist.
I'll make a motion to accept the nomination of Erin Mon as Library and Media Specialist for 2018 school year.
Second.
Any discussion on this?
Have any school board members participated in these interviews for some of these positions?
Not that I know of.
I haven't.
Typically for any kind of staffing positions short of assistant principal or principal,
Okay.
that doesn't, school board members usually are not involved in those.
Anything else? All in favor of approving the nomination of Erin Mon? Opposed? Abstaining? Jacob, what was your vote, Mr. Ruth?
Yeah, I'll abstain.
Okay. Can I ask why, or just, you just want more time to look at it, or?
Yeah, I since I just came on so late and I didn't get to know what all the processes were and.
Okay, that's fine, no, just curious. Yep. So,
And then if you turn halfway through that packet, we've got another personnel report there as well. And that's a nomination of Colleen Crockmall for the school nurse for the 18-19 school year, and the appropriate corresponding information is also attached.
I will make a motion to elect Colleen Crockmall for school nurse.
I'll second that.
Any discussion on this? Good. All in favor? Opposed? Abstain?
Abstain.
2 abstentions? All right, motion carries 3-0 with 2 abstentions.
Okay, and that's all I had.
Great, thank you.
There you go. We're on a time crunch today.
We still have a good 20 minutes left. See, we don't have any new business. Is there any committee reports or any times? No. I think the technology committee was canceled, so we didn't do. Facilities committee didn't meet. Budget committee.
I met in Budget Committee hasn't, I did meet with the Clubs Committee. I think that was since their last meeting, so I don't think I've given an updated report on that. There were a few additional clubs reported, but I don't have the information on it to bring it before the board. And I did share that, again, that the school board has a desire to see more and more student activity. Ms. Dow was passing that along. And we noted specifically that many of the clubs are for older students only, so she's hoping to drum up interest for throughout all the grades. So.
Policy committee didn't meet because of the time frames today.
Yeah, I think it's tight.
Yeah, we just gotta get together for facilities.
Okay. You're the one with the busy schedule. I'm pretty much available, yeah. And even during the summer, it'd be good to, if the place is empty, we can really check around and see things probably.
Okay. This isn't a committee report, but I did schedule 3 exit interviews for us to do tonight, starting at 5:15. I sent out an email to you all. Maybe we'll get to it early. Old business, board goals review. I believe we did that at our last meeting. Right? I wouldn't mind skipping that unless somebody has something they want to bring up. Nope. Parking lot items is on page 59. Dave, did you want to add something to the parking lot items?
Oh, to discuss the lunch program and what we may need to
So we do have
make it better, or?
So we do have a fresh picks item on here. Could we maybe make a note to change it to discussion and questions instead of presentation? Either that, or we could just put it on the agenda for a meeting and take this
Yeah.
off.
Whatever you guys, whatever you decide, yeah, I guess.
I'll put that on the agenda.
We got a
for-
couple of months, but it'll be nice to have some, maybe there is something, or somebody will come up with an idea. Maybe if he goes back
Our
and
next
talks to
meeting-
his supervisors, they might have said,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, we could use this, or we should have this.
Yeah, I mean, our next meeting's not for 3
End
weeks,
of July, yeah.
right, 4 weeks or whatever, so there's plenty of time to come up with
Right.
questions then. But then again, there's no lunch service in the meantime.
No,
That's true.
So there might
You
not be
want
any
to put
new
it on the
feedback.
first August meeting? I'm just thinking you're going to be away for a while, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
I
we'll
can
do
have
that.
Amy pencil
Keep it
it
on
in
the
for the
file.
August
Yeah,
meeting.
let's do that.
Yep, okay, so August, we'll have more food discussion, and we can keep having that.
If we're not ready, we can always advance,
Yep.
move it back, I mean, it's not.
So
So
we
is
can-
that when you want him back?
No,
No.
Okay.
that's just, we're gonna put that on our agenda so we can come up with questions, you know.
Because that's what I was gonna say, I'm like, if you're gonna have him come back in August, could you possibly put together a list of questions for him so he's prepared?
That's what we want to
Okay,
be doing.
thank you.
Yep. So let's remove the fresh pick stuff from our parking lot then too. School safety is ongoing, security is ongoing. We do have the meeting with the selectmen scheduled on, what day is that? The Tuesday, the last, second Tuesday? Fourth
In
Tuesday?
July, right? July
In
24th? I thought it was July 24th.
Yeah, I think it's July 24th.
Yeah.
July 24th.
When does this selectmen meet on the second and fourth Tuesday?
We're on a different schedule though.
Okay. I think it was July
But it is,
24th.
I have it in, it's the 24th.
Yeah.
Or maybe just even a note to their
At 6?
administrative secretary to send out another reminder around.
Yeah.
She gave it to us 2 or 3 weeks ago, so
Yeah.
that makes it.
Six, can we be first on the agenda?
Ask that though to be first.
Yeah, we should, well, I don't want to wait around.
And the other things to think about maybe a student representative, that's a discussion we want to have in August too.
Yeah.
Bring that forward.
Just throwing it out there.
School board timeline. What month is it? Oh, yeah, June. Projected class size, number of classes for the coming year. I think we're all set with that. Hiring needs for professional and support staff. Plans for summer maintenance, we're all set with that. Butcher and club position, we've done that. Exit interviews in progress. Start to set bus routes.
I went out with Scott, showed him the Gaviet and the Range Road issue,
Yep,
and he said he was going to get in touch with Dale to fix
Great.
that, so.
okay. So we'll
Wonderful.
we look forward to that. Maybe, maybe coming up in July, since we only have the one meeting, we should probably take a look and see what we need to do before then. Discuss school schedule, K-8 with school board, I think that's all set. Presentation, discussion of staff and student and parent handbooks. So you may want to remind Ms. Young that we'll probably be expecting those for our June, July meeting. Yep. And review bus routes, which is in progress, so. Okay. Anybody want to add anything to this stuff, or are we happy with?
I got nothing to add here, but I got a concern. I think we discussed it a little bit. I'm on the teachers' union. Does Colleen fall underneath the teachers' contract?
It does.
Yeah, I need a swap,
Okay,
because she's, could be possibly my
Sure,
future
sure.
boss.
right.
So, I don't know if, who's on the
So the-
para. That's why I abstained, because she's my,
Sure, yeah.
Reasonable.
So I believe that it's you and I are on the teachers' union, teachers'
Yeah.
professional negotiation committee, and then it's Amy and I. Oh, no, it's you and Dave?
No, I won't be here for
You
the
and Amy.
teachers. Technically, I could be on the teachers,
what it
but
is.
I probably,
It's you two on the teachers, and it's us two on
Two are
the,
at
you're on
Paris.
both.
Oh, yeah,
paras
that's
do
right.
this
Yeah.
year,
How
right?
did that happen?
Yeah, the paras are going to be negotiated this year, the teachers not for another year.
Right, but we still should have somebody up in case something comes up and we won't need to renegotiate. So does anybody want to volunteer to take who wants a spot on the teacher negotiation?
I would, I just see myself as also being potentially in conflict, where I'm a certified teacher, so.
Dave, you want to do that or
I can
not?
put my
I'll
name
do it
down,
if not.
yeah.
I don't mind doing it either, so I just,
well, I don't know, it's not for another year, so it doesn't matter what names we put down right now.
it's unlikely, but if someone were to
Yes,
come up,
that- I
yeah.
said yes before, yeah.
All right, we'll have Dave on the professional negotiation.
I
Thank
can
you.
vote twice.
Thank you, Ms. Cruz. Okay, future agenda items for our July 26th. We have discussed one of the food discussions until August, so we'll put that up there. We will be reviewing we should get copies of the staff and student handbooks probably in our packet, I'm hoping, so we can review it beforehand and then have a discussion on that. all the regular stuff, goals, strategic plan. Yes, Mr.
July 26th, please make sure that we have a person that's in the administration or the custodial that will be here to let us in and out.
That's a wonderful
That's
idea.
happened in
Yeah,
meetings.
yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah. We try to.
So you want to get in the building?
We
know
pulled
how to get
outside, I
out.
guess.
Mr. Wells, you'll be running that meeting. Just a
Yes.
reminder, so.
Yep, and I know we don't have a meeting for a long time, but if anything comes up, we can always,
If anything comes up that needs to be done,
Always
the
call a
chair or
meeting.
the acting chair can call a meeting. So be in touch with the superintendent. He can post a meeting, whichever one it is at the time, and, yeah, we can get together. Okay, as discussed, our future meeting, our July 5th meeting is canceled. Our next regular meeting is July 26th. I believe on the 24th, we are meeting with the selectmen to talk about the school resource officer. That would be at Town Hall. Likely at 6 o'clock is when the meetings start. I don't know when we'll be on the agenda. We can find out.
Why
when
don't we
closer.
just put in a request that we want to meet at 5:30 or 6 be first? Put in a request.
I'll send a note to the town administrator and see if we can get that.
I
And
mean,
if
in the
not-
past, we had
What's the
more or
date
less
on
a
it?
meeting before their meeting, so I don't know what the rule they're doing now, so.
I'd like to still
24th.
start at 6.
Start at 6, but
If
be
we're
first.
first, that's great. But-
Yeah, I'm sure the public wants to.
July 24,
probably be some public comment.
select meeting.
Yeah, I mean, just tentatively 6 o'clock, but I'll try to get, or Ms. Wells, can you get in touch with
Yes.
town administrator and find out when we can be on? I mean, if we're not 6 o'clock, at least give us a time, and then, 6:30 or something like that, and we can show up then as well. Well, I'm okay with asking for 6 o'clock.
Tell them you'll be there.
Is there any closing public comment?
I have a question. Stuck to the chair. 413,000 you're going to be giving back to probably to the town. And I think I read somewhere that for every 400,000 you give back, that's about $1 on the tax bill.
A little more, I think it's more like 400
That's
and,
480.
newsworthy.
yeah.
Well, it's newsworthy, but also if it is 400,000, we have to wait for the final result, but that's
Final
probably
result,
pretty
But it's
close.
pretty close.
But that's up to the selectmen, how much they apply
Right.
to,
Maybe.
I'd like to maybe I shouldn't write about it then. It might be too confusing for people. They'll be saving their $100 or.
I think it's fair to write that the Northwood School Board
It's
is
turning it back.
returning this much money to
we
the
have any other,
taxpayers.
Approximately.
Approximately, 'cause you're
So
gonna-
what about trust funds that I
That
said?
might
This year, trust
approximately
funds?
have a
You have your trust
dollar.
funds.
So approximately, well, by my calculator's math, it's like 86 cents.
86 cents.
But that
Approximately.
doesn't take into account, what our budget is next year versus, that's just like how much it would be reduced by from what it would be, right?
When you're closing out the books, there's still journal entries that have to be done. The auditors are coming in. We still, at the end of the year, we get an invoice of people that owe money to the cafeteria. We've got to book all of those. And there's a lot of stuff that goes on during the summer. And also with that, so even if you are returning the money to the town, your money from the state may change.
Okay.
So, and your net assessed valuation.
If
So
you
there's
want to have
so
some
many things.
Investigative journalism, there's
No.
percentages of what the county gets a part of
Yeah.
that, this town gets a part of
They don't
that,
pay
the
me
state
enough to
gets a
do.
part of it. and-
Oh, wait, they don't pay me at all.
Thank you, Beth.
Thank you very much, that's helpful.
Any other public comment? Any board members want to take this opportunity to address the board?
I would like to say congratulations to Bob and Marjorie, and that we will miss them. I appreciate when they both came on board, I was here, and I'm sorry to see both of them leave, and wish them well for the future.
Want to leave you because of you, Dave.
Probably, that's what I was
You're
worried
back, they
about.
leave.
Well, Dave beat me to the punch, but I was going to say very similar things. It's been wonderful getting to know both of you and work with both of you, and I wish you both the best of luck. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'm sorry for only getting to work with you a few months. I've enjoyed it. So, but best of luck with everything.
And maybe we'll see you in the future.
Can I say something?
No.
I just want to say, I started with Northwood 9 years ago. So for me, it's a little bittersweet that I started here, and you guys are my last meeting. So So for me, it's, I started here and I'm ending here. I've known Dave as long as that. Dave's a really great guy. I respect you a lot. I've grown to respect all of you. I think you guys are heading in a really good direction, and I'm very happy for you. So thank you for letting me stay here as long as I did.
Okay. With that being said, I will close the public comment session. We do have to go into a non-public session under RSA 91-A:32C. So we need a motion to do that.
Motion, so moved. Somebody second.
I'll second.
Second, we will roll call in. Mr. Wells? Yes. Mr. Nguyen, yes. Mr. Winslow?
Yes.
Ms. Hanneman?
Yes.
Mr. Ruth?
Yes.
Yes. All right, we'll go into non-public.